The kingdom of Ferelden may seem like a fantasy land, but you won't find many happily ever afters here. Using magic exposes a person to demonic possession.
The demons in Dragon Age are based on the 7 deadly sins. Desire demons, which make pacts with humans and give humans their greatest desires in the dream world. Hunger demons, pride demons, rage demons, sloth demons. All these demons live in the Fade, or in the 5th dimension of spirituality. Mages are closer to the 5th dimensional Fade than everyone else. The Fade is both where people dream, as well as where mages pull their magic from and bring over into this world. Being closer to the Fade puts mages at risk. Demons exist in the Fade, and mages have 1 foot in the real world, 1 foot in the Fade. This puts mages at risk for being possessed by the demons who live in the Fade, on the other side of the veil. Dwarves do not have religion, and as a rule are atheists. This is because dwarves cannot use magic, and are so cut off from the Fade world, they don't even dream. Instead of being spiritual or religious, they revere their greater historical figures. This would be like revering and worshipping our founding fathers or great war heroes. Elven religion in Dragon Age is polytheistic. Like the ancient Greeks, these pagans worship many gods. These are only the free elves, aka the Baelish elves, though, who live in the forest. Many elves who live in human cities as their slaves have adopted the Andrastian human religion. Human religion in Dragon Age is monotheistic. That means they worship one god, the Maker. And Andraste was a human wife of the Maker, who was worshipped sort of like Jesus was the human son of God. In real life, many years ago, human religion actually was more powerful than monarchies. Even King Henry VIII wasn't granted a divorce because religion overpowered his law. Dragon Age's human monarchy is similar in that the Chantry often has final say over laws, and the Chantry is deeply entwined with the government laws. And just like Christianity condemning pagans, Dragon Age's Chantry condemns mages. The army of the Chantry are Templars, men with swords and armor, skilled in the art of killing mages who become possessed, or use their magic for nefarious purposes. If someone is born a mage, he or she is locked in a tower, sort of a Harry Potter type school, where you learn how to control your magic. The catch is, you are never actually allowed to leave. When you turn a certain age, the human Chantry forces you to face a demon. This will decide whether you are powerful enough to be granted the right to live, under the constant threat of demonic possession. This is called a harrowing. Many Templars stand around the mage during this coming-of-age test. If the mage kills the demon, the mage lives. If the mage is possessed, however, the mage is stabbed by the Templars and killed immediately. Happy birthday! As soon as a mage is born, they legally must be turned over to the Chantry to live in a circle among other mages. Why are Templars so strict about mages walking around willy-nilly? Well, picture it this way. In America, you cannot just own a gun and walk around with it. Even if you never intend to use it, the gun must be registered, and there's a 3-day waiting period, and all of this protection. And even then, you're not likely going to be allowed to walk around with the gun concealed. Same for mages. They have too much power to not register and control them, so the Templars possibly overcompensate, throwing them into the prison of the magical schools. There are many levels of magic crimes in Dragon Age. From least to most offensive, they are 1. Apostates. Any mage living outside the reach of the Chantry and the Templars is an apostate. This means the elves living in the forest, the witches living in the bogs, or some shaman on a mountain somewhere on a human-controlled land, they're all breaking the law. If you are even a healing mage, all you do is heal and cure people, but like Jesus, but you're not registered, and living in a circle prison school, you're breaking the law. 2. Illegal schools. If you are living in a circle, there are certain schools of magics you're allowed to use, and some you're not allowed to use. Fire, ice, stone, lightning, curses, hexes, healing, and blessings are all examples of schools which are allowed. An example of an illegal school would be necromancy, or raising the dead. An example of another illegal school would be shapeshifting. Turning yourself into a giant spider or a bird is illegal for any reason. 3. Consorting with demons. Making deals with and being possessed by demons is one of the most offensive things you can do in Chantry law. The other 2 offenses usually mean imprisonment when you are caught, but if you are possessed, it almost always means immediately being killed. 4. Blood magic. The most offensive form of magic. This is akin to Satanism in its worst form, and is the practice of blood magic for the purpose of creating power. Usually magic is taken from a source called lyrium, which is mined by the dwarves, since they are largely cut off from the 5th dimensional Fade world, and are nearly immune to its ill effects of overdose. But blood magic doesn't even use lyrium. Killing another person or slitting your own body to get power from the blood is how it works. There's another reason that magic is so heavily guarded against in the government and in the Chantry. Many years ago, 4 mages decided they would take over heaven, or the Golden City, and they forced the way into the Maker's realm with their magic. Normally, only the dead could go to heaven, but these mages, being so close to the Fade, thought they could do so while alive. When these 4 mages touched the Golden City, they tainted it, turning the whole place black. It was then known as the Black City. The 4 mages were then cast down to Thedas, and they were infected with a mystical tainted blood. They became the first 4 Darkspawn, a race of undead, mindless creatures who rise from under the ground once every few hundred years to taint the earth with infection. A special group of people called the Grey Wardens were created to fight back against the Darkspawn in each of their uprisings, called Blights. Some mages take the blame from the government and are forever shamed by the Chantry for offending the Maker and bringing the periodic blights upon the earth, for trying to use their power and being egotistical enough to try to enter the Golden City while alive.
So mages are ruthlessly policed and oppressed by the Templar Knights. Elves are people without recognized rights, subject to slavery and brutal racism at the hands of humans. The dwarves are in decline, never having recovered from their near destruction by the monstrous darkspawn over 1,200 years ago. 3 more blights have brought all the races to the brink of extinction since then, and now the 5th blight has begun.
Enter Loghain. Loghain was a great warrior and a general in a war which happened when he was a young man. Your legions had invaded Ferelden and tried to invade and occupy Ferelden, hoping to take the land over. Loghain battled alongside a man named Merrick. Merrick was a prince because his mother was the queen at the time. Merrick's parents were killed, and then Merrick himself became the king. I imagine Merrick and Loghain as a sort of King Arthur and Lancelot relationship. Merrick was the king, Loghain was the great warrior general who won the battles, freeing Ferelden from Orlesian rule. Because of Loghain, Ferelden's a free country. Everyone in Ferelden reveres Loghain, as we would our founding fathers who gave us freedom today. Loghain is a living legend among the people. Merrick had a son named Calin. Once Merrick died, his son Calin became the king. King Calin likely sees Loghain as an uncle figure, since his father Merrick was Loghain's best friend. King Calin even ended up marrying Loghain's daughter, Anora, so Calin also sees Loghain as a father-in-law. In Ostagar, you have a choice of whether you want to save the dog with a special plant from the Kokari wilds, or let the dog remain sick. You can choose to recruit the dog, or not. There's also a prisoner in Ostagar. You can choose to leave the prisoner alone, choose to kill the prisoner, choose to steal the guard's lunch and then feed the prisoner, choose to convince the guard to share his food with the prisoner, choose to pay money to the guard for his food and give it to the prisoner, or choose to just steal the key from the prisoner.
King Calin marshals his forces at Ostagar, confident that he can smash the Darkspawn army before it becomes a serious threat. Joining him is the Grey Warden Duncan, with several raw recruits in tow. Grey Wardens are warriors with a special talent for fighting Darkspawn, obtained by drinking Darkspawn blood. If the blood doesn't kill you, congratulations, you're a Grey Warden. As the battle begins, Duncan orders his protege Alistair to light a beacon that will cue Loghain, leader of nearby reinforcements, to charge into the fray. Instead, upon seeing the beacon, the ambitious Loghain orders his forces to withdraw, abandoning King Calin and the Grey Wardens to die. Loghain goes to the capital city of Denerim and lies that the king was betrayed by the Grey Wardens. He then declares himself regent. Back at Ostagar, there are only 2 surviving Grey Wardens, Alistair and one of the new recruits known simply as the Warden. They are rescued from the battle by the so-called Witch of the Wilds, Flemeth. Her motives are a bit cagey, and she also sends her adopted daughter Morrigan with the group. The Warden must now gather a force to combat the Darkspawn, as well as unravel Loghain's conspiracy.
At this point, you need to gather a force to fight the Darkspawn and fight against Loghain. There are 2 wars going on at once. The war with the Darkspawn, aka the Blight, and secondly a civil war with Loghain, who started the war against the Grey Wardens at the worst possible time. A time when the Grey Wardens are specifically called upon to Blight. So in order to create an army to fight in the wars, specifically the Darkspawn Blight, you go from city to city within the country of Ferelden to try to accumulate allies. When you first get to Lothering, there's a salesman who's trying to set up shop and increase the prices of all his goods. He knows the concept of supply and demand, and the demand is high right now. The Chantry sister thinks the storekeep's actions are deplorable, and that he should be giving these items away, or, at most, only breaking even, certainly not making a steep profit. Your options are 1. Tell the Chantry sister too bad. He's a smart man for business, and understands capitalism. The store owner gives you a good deal for sticking up for him, and his store stays. Option 2. Tell the store owner to beat it. He's a bit of a douche for selling items at a high price during a time when things are so dismal. Option 3. Don't get involved, and nothing will change. Your next choice involves a group of bandits on a highway in Lothering. They want you to pay a toll to pass. Your options are 1. Pay them the money. Then the price will rise, and then you can choose to pay them again, or do something else. Option 2. Warn them that they are about to attack a Grey Warden, then they'll back down. Option 3. Extort them for money. Option 4. Tell them that you are a far better thug and bandit than they would ever be. Option 5. Kill them all. When you're in Lothering, you can either not free Sten, pick the lock to free Sten, persuade the Reverend Mother to free Sten, or intimidate and threaten the Reverend Mother to free Sten. Then you can either recruit Sten into your party or not. You'll also find Liliana in Lothering a bar. You can recruit Liliana into your party or not. Once you leave Lothering, it is destroyed and burned down. You can never return again. As you can see from the map, the Darkspawn is rising from the south and heading north. Lothering is one of the first places to be overrun by the Horde. Once this happens, this is about the same time as Dragon Age 2 begins. Hog's family is fleeing from the burning Lothering at the beginning of Dragon Age 2. Hog's family lived in Lothering. There are a number of companion quests that you can do. Such variables are, did you get into a romantic relationship with Alistair, Morrigan, Liliana, Zevran, or did you remain single? Variables depending on who you have in your party, and during which events change things. Your party can be any 3 people, Alistair, Morrigan, Liliana, Zevran, Wynn, Sten, Oberyn, Loghain, and Shale. Also, variables in dialogue depend on which order you go to these places, because you'll have different people in your party at different times, as a cause of the order you choose. At some point, Zevran attacks you, hired by Logan and Hao. When you defeat him, you can choose to kill Zevran, let Zevran go free, or force him to join your party. There are a number of side quests for each companion. You can become close enough to any companion to know their side quest and complete it. This requires an approval rating with a person around 30 or above. If you are not a close friend of a companion, you may not learn of their special quest at all. Another option is to learn of it, but not bother helping the companion anyway. These companion quests are as follows. Help Sten find his lost sword, or not. Without his sword, Sten is considered a failure by his people. You could help Ogren meet his old girlfriend, Felsi, at the Lake Callahan Docks Inn. You could talk to Liliana about minstrels and spies in Orlais, and eventually Liliana will tell you about Marjolaine at camp. And then a random encounter with Marjolaine will occur. Alistair wants to meet his sister Goldana, so you can either never encounter Goldana, or never go to Denerim with Alistair in your party. You could choose to encounter Goldana but tell him not to go, or you can allow Alistair to meet Goldana. Marjolaine is in Denerim. You can either never encounter Marjolaine, or never go to Denerim with Liliana in your party. Encounter Marjolaine and Liliana sends her away. Or encounter Marjolaine and Liliana has her killed. You can help Shale find the Kadash Tag, because Shale wants to go there. If you brought Shale with you in the Anvil of the Void, it's told about its origin by Caridin. If you didn't bring Shale with you, you can tell it about what happened to camp afterward. If you killed Caridin or protected the Anvil, though, and admit this, Shale will be angry, and the quest may become unavailable. Otherwise, this will prompt Shale to remember the location of Kadash Tag, allowing you to travel there. You can talk to Wynne about her past and have her become warm towards you. Then during a world map encounter named Hillside Path, Wynne will collapse at the end of a battle. You can head to camp and talk to her. Talk to Wynne until you have the option of asking her about any past regrets. She'll tell you the story of an old apprentice, Ainarin. At this point, the quest Wynne's Regret will be added to your journal. As for Morrigan, Morrigan wants you to kill Flemeth and take her grimoire, because Morrigan found out that Flemeth has been just using Morrigan so that she can steal her body when needed. This is how Flemeth lives forever, and is the reason there are rumors about the many daughters of Flemeth. Morrigan wants to read Flemeth's grimoire to learn more of her secrets. So you can either acquire the grimoire by befriending Flemeth and then lying to Morrigan about her being dead, or you can acquire the grimoire through peaceful means, but then tell Morrigan the truth. You never killed Flemeth. This angers Morrigan and destroys your friendship. Another choice is to acquire the grimoire by killing Flemeth, and then give it to Morrigan. And then a final choice is just to refuse to get the grimoire at all for Morrigan. There are a few special gifts which open up new animations and dialogues of the party members if you can find them. You can help Alistair find his mother's locket, which he broke in the castle when he was mad at Arl Eamon many years ago. It can be found in Redcliffe Castle. Duncan's shield is located in the Grey Warden Vault. Alistair wants that also. You can get Andraste's Grace, which is a flower, for Liliana, found in Redcliffe Village, West Brazilian Forest, or the Elven Alienage. Also, Liliana would like the cute Nug, which is acquired from the Idle Dwarf in Dusttown. You can get the Black Grimoire from Morrigan, found in the senior mage quarters of the Mage Tower. She also wants Flemeth's Grimoire, as explained in her special quest earlier. And she also wants the Golden Mirror, which reminds her of a mirror she had as a child, and she'll tell you a story about it. It can be found in Orzammar Commons. Zevran wants Antivan leather boots, which are found in Haven. He also wants some Antivan leather gloves, which are found in the West Brazilian Forest. And Sten, of course, wants that sword, as explained in his special quest earlier. All of these items will give new dialogue and animations if you find them. In the expansion pack of the Warden's Keep, there is a possessed body of Sophia Dryden, who is a Warden commander at one point. The entity controlling Sophia's body is no longer Sophia, but some sort of demon. She's been locked up in the keep since the time of the Warden for Reldon conflict and wishes to be let out, free to roam the rest of the world. She'll offer the Warden the promise of sealing the rift into the Fade. In exchange for Sophia's freedom, the Warden will have to kill Avernus. Avernus is a Grey Warden who has lived in Soldier's Peak for a very long time, performing experiments. He believes that the Chantry is foolish to abolish blood magic, and says that the Wardens were wise to not put any restrictions on such things. Using blood magic, he's created some powerful potions. Now, your options are, you can side with the demon in Sophia, and she'll close the rift, and kill the Blood Mage Avernus as she requests. Your second option is to kill the demon in Sophia, and let the Blood Mage Avernus continue his evil experiments. Another option is to kill the demon in Sophia, and let the Blood Mage Avernus continue to experiment, but tell him to do his experiments ethically. And the final option is to kill both the demon in Sophia and the Blood Mage Avernus. Your second choice in Warden's Keep is to either drink the concoction Avernus made, gaining special abilities according to your class, or not drink the blood magic potion. In Honleith, you have a choice to recruit Shale, the Golem, or not. Also in Honleith, you'll find a father who wants you to go to his daughter Amalia, who he feels is unsafe around a cat which is possessed by a demon. You can choose to try to kill Kitty, and when you do, the demon dies, but the demon's connection to Amalia kills the daughter as well, and Matthias is devastated at the death of his daughter. Or you can choose to kill Kitty and save Amalia, returning her to her father. You can make a deal with the Kitty, and she possesses Amalia, but Amalia is returned to her father. You can choose to refuse to deal with the demon Kitty, so when the father Matthias goes to deal with her himself, it is he who is possessed. Amalia is alive and well, though. You can choose to refuse to deal with the demon Kitty. When the father Matthias goes to deal with the Kitty himself, the demon kills Matthias. Amalia is alive but traumatized by the death. You need the dwarves' help, so you go to the dwarven territory of Orzammar, but in order to gain their help in the war, you have to solve a few problems for them. First, they need a new king. You must help them elect a king between the vice president, so to speak, Lord Harrowmont, who claims that the king wanted himself to succeed him, as we have the VP step up in America. Or you can choose the rightful heir to the throne, the son of the king, Balin. Your second choice in Orzammar involves other troubles. There's a dispute between two of the dwarven paragons. These are the historical figures they revere, I mentioned earlier. You also need to decide between one of the two paragons, Caridin, who's been turned into a golem using a special anvil of the void. Caridin thinks golems should be outlawed, having lived in the horrible fate, and wants the anvil destroyed. Or you can side with another paragon named Branka. Branka is a woman, the wife of ally Oghren, who believes they should make more golems to help fight in the battles against the Darkspawn, and also help you in the Plague battle. Otherwise, you'll have dwarves in the final battle instead of golems. In Orzammar, Zerlinda was seduced by a casteless man who, for personal gain, sought to have a daughter with her because a child of the same-sex parent is of the same caste, and would, being the father, allow him to live with Zerlinda's family. However, when Zerlinda bore a son, he abandoned her. As the same-sex parent, the child was born casteless like him. Unfortunately for Zerlinda and the baby, it would have been a huge scandal if her family accepted a casteless among them. The ultimatum given by her father, Ordell, was that she abandon her son in the deep roads to die, or he would disown her. Zerlinda's fate can be many things. Zerlinda can remain in Dusttown forever, or you can talk to Zerlinda's father Ordell and help reconcile the differences so he allows her back into the family. Or you can choose to convince Zerlinda to leave Orzammar and live on the surface and have a normal life with her baby. Or you can arrange things so that Zerlinda and her baby are taken in by Burkel's Chantry. Or you can convince Zerlinda to do as her father asks and abandon her son in the deep roads to die. Also, in Orzammar, you can recruit Oghren into your party, or not. You have other options in Orzammar. The Legion of the Dead is connected with the noble house. You have two options regarding this. You can prove that the Legion of the Dead is connected with the noble house. Or you can ignore this and not bother researching the historical correlations between the Legion of the Dead and nobility. The Shaper has a quest. The Shaper tells you that someone stole a tome from him. You have choices here. You can choose to not bother going after the thief who stole the book, or you can choose to find the book and return it to the Shaperate, or you can find the tome, but sell it to someone who wants it. In the battle concerning the Anvil of the Void, you have two options. You can choose to side with Caridin in the battle against Branka, so Shale will fight alongside you. Or you can bring Shale with you and side with Branka, and this causes Shale to leave your party and attack you, forcing you to kill Shale. In Orzammar, you'll meet a lady named Filda who's praying to a statue of an ancestor in Orzammar Commons. She misses her son Rook, who's been in the deep roads, and she worries about what happened to him. Rook left Orzammar as the only smith of an expeditionary force into the deep roads 5 years before the Blight. While in the expedition, he accidentally killed a fellow dwarf in a fight. Rather than stay and endure the punishment of being exiled to the mines, where he would have found certain death, Rook ran away. In order to survive in the deep roads, Rook fed on the corpses of Darkspawn, which made him severely tainted. Rook seems to remember his previous life in Orzammar, or at least his mother, and it pains him greatly to even think of those good times. You eventually find Rook, and he asks you to tell Filda, his mother, that he's dead. He doesn't want to return in the tainted state that he is. He would rather his mom remember him, as he was, when he was normal and sane. So your choices are: A. Ignore the crying Filda, which avoids the quest. B. Let Rook live, but lie to Filda and tell her that he died, as Rook requests. C. Tell Filda the truth about Rook, and let her know he's a tainted darkspawn eating half-ghoul now. D. Kill Rook, and lie to Filda, claiming you never even found him. E. Kill Rook and tell the truth to Filda, telling Rook's mother that you put Rook out of his misery. And F. Kill Rook, and claim that Rook died in the deep roads as a hero, fighting darkspawn. You also need the elves' help. So another place you go is the free elf land of the Dalish in the Bristolian Forest. They have their own issues to work on before helping you in the war as well. They have issues with the werewolves of the forest. You can choose to eradicate the werewolves for the Dalish, and the elves will join you in battle. Or you can choose to kill off the elves and side with the werewolves, and the werewolves will help you in battle. Or you can break the werewolf curse by killing the elf leader, Zathrian, and arranging a meeting between Zathrine and the spirit of the forest, who's a wolf. This placates both sides, and there aren't any needless deaths on either side. In the West Brazilian forest, there's a choice you have to make involving how you're going to get past a magical barrier. You can get the help of a mad hermit to bypass the barrier, but in order to get his help, he wants you to kill a nearby oak tree because it keeps harassing him about the acorn he stole from the tree. He wants you to burn the tree. The hermit only speaks in questions and insists everyone else does the same. When you find the oak tree, you learn that it's sentient and not only talks, but rhymes and poetry. The oak tree wants you to take its side, of course, and kill the hermit. So, your choices are you can try to steal the acorn from the hermit, which he hides in his stump, but even Zevron's hands are not fast enough, and this will result in a battle, and you'll kill the hermit. Or you can go kill the oak tree, like the hermit wanted, and he'll bring down the barrier. A final option is you can choose to either trade various items with the hermit until you get the acorn into your possession, giving it back to the oak tree. Then the oak tree will break the magical barrier for you. Then neither the oak tree nor the hermit need to die. Your next choice involves Delilah and Athras. Athras is an elf who asks you to go into the forest to find his wife Delilah and see what became of her. Delilah is a werewolf, and when you find her in the Brazilian forest, she wants you to go tell her husband Athras that she's dead, giving you her scarf as proof that you found her. Your options are 1. Agree to kill her. Option 2. Refuse to kill her, which results in Delilah attacking your party, forcing you to kill her. Delilah will drop a scarf, which gives the warden the option to return the scarf to Athras, saying that Delilah died from the curse. Option 4. Return the scarf to Athras, telling him that it's too horrible to speak of what happened, and insists that he doesn't want to know. Option 5. Trade the scarf with the mad hermit. The warden can still tell Athras about Delilah's fate, completing the quest. An interesting note about the quest is that you can side with the werewolves and kill all the Dalish elves while this quest is in progress. Then, when you talk to Athras, you will also join the other elves in the war and attack the warden and the werewolves, forcing you to kill him. If this is the case, your journals will state that you've completed the quest saying, Athras has died, his hopes of ever meeting his wife again have died with him. Your next choice involves Kamen and Gaina. Kamen is a hunter apprentice who wants to become a real hunter, but right now, he's not allowed to hunt because of the werewolf outbreak. You can either persuade him to tell you his story, or you can choose to intimidate him to tell you. Otherwise, you won't get his quest. He appears to be in love with a girl named Gaina, who refuses to marry him unless he becomes a full-fledged hunter. In order to become a hunter, Kamen must first bring back a pelt from a creature he's hunted himself, which he cannot do while the keeper forbids the elves from going into the forest. There are several ways to resolve this quest. Option 1. Persuade Gaina to date Kamen, because he's a decent guy and right now he's not allowed to hunt. Option 2. Kill a wolf yourself, then give Kamen a wolf pelt so that he can lie to Gaina and tell her that he hunted it himself. Option 3. Lie to Gaina and tell her that Kamen hates her for what she's doing. Option 4. Try to lie to Gaina, claiming that Kamen hates her, but have a low persuasion skill, so you fail. Then they'll call you on it and they'll both hate you. Option 5. Lie to Kamen and tell him that Gaina hates him. Option 6. Try to lie to Kamen and tell him that Gaina hates him, but have a low persuasion skill, so you fail, and then they call you on it and hate you. Option 7. If you're male, you can seduce Gaina and tell Kamen that she's your girl now, so he can just screw her off. Option 8. Persuade Kamen to sleep with you, which requires 35 cunning, and then tell Gaina to not bother. He's yours now. Option 9. Convince Gaina that Kamen thinks he's going to sleep with her soon, and he really just wants her for the sex. This makes Gaina slap Kamen in the face. The next quest involves the fate of the Hala. There is a Hala in the Dalish camp who's being watched over by an elf named Alora. The Hala is sick. Option 1. Put the Hala out of its misery and kill it with a knife. Option 2. If you have a level 2 or higher survival skill, you can calm and heal the Hala. Option 3. If you have a high enough coercion, you can lie and pretend you're examining the Hala. Then you can convince Alora to kill it. Option 4. You can lie about pretending to examine the Hala, and the low persuasion ability will cause her to catch you in the lie, and she'll stop speaking to you out of anger. Your next choice involves the dying Dagon. While wandering in the forest, you come upon an elf who's severely injured. He's dying. After sputtering a few blood-soaked words, Dagon collapses and the warden is presented with several options. The first choice you have to make is whether you're going to loot Dagon's body, or whether you'll let him keep his money. Once you decide on that, you have other choices. Option 1. Wake him back up and talk to him, and then leave and abandon Dagon there to die. Option 2. Wake him back up and kill him with your knife. Option 3. Rescue Dagon, and return to the Dalish camp with him, handing him off to Mithra on the way, thus saving his life and earning the gratitude of the elves. You also need the humans' help, so off you go to Redcliffe. But of course they too are having issues you have to deal with. You can choose to help them in the battle with the zombie undead, or let them die off by simply leaving the town. There are all sorts of variables in the battle concerning how many people die, depending on who you convince to fight, and how well you prepare for the battle. In Redcliffe, you have to prepare for the zombie attack. There are a lot of ways you can do this. There's a blacksmith, Owen, who could work on weapons, but he's too busy worrying about his daughter Velena, who's up in the castle. Your options are 1. Promise Owen you'll rescue Velena. He'll fire up the forge and begin working on the weapons and armor because you give him hope. 2. Kill Owen and steal the key to his stash, then open the stash of weapons and armor for the locals. Option 3. Pickpocket the key from Owen, then unlock the stash and give the weapons and armor to the locals. Option 4. Just leave and tell Murdoch that you couldn't change Owen's mind. The next choice you have to deal with is that Murdoch thinks it will help to convince a dwarf named Dwyn to help in the battle. Dwyn is locked in his home, so you'll need to pick the lock or kick the door in to enter. Your options are 1. Convince Dwyn to fight the zombies using persuasion skills. Option 2. Threaten Dwyn to fight the zombies using your intimidation skills. Option 3. You could hire him and pay him 100 silvers to fight in the battle with the zombies. Option 4. Kill Dwyn and tell Murdoch he wouldn't join the fight. Your next choice involves Sir Perth, who is a Templar. He's preparing his Templars for battle. They just want a blessing from Mother Hannah before the battle starts. Mother Hannah doesn't want to give them a blessing, though, because she doubts her own power to do anything. All she can do is say a few words. Your options are 1. Go back to Sir Perth and explain that she won't give a blessing. Option 2. Persuade Mother Hannah into giving the Templars some fake trinkets which will install hope. Option 3. Intimidate Mother Hannah with violence, forcing her to give the Templars fake trinkets, which will instill hope in the battle. Your next choice involves whether you gather oil from the general storehouse, which is beside Dwyn's house. This oil will help create fire to burn the zombies. Doing this increases your chances of winning the battle. Choosing not to get the oil will lower your chances of winning the battle against the zombies. Your next choice involves getting the men in the tavern to join the fight by persuading the tavern owner Lloyd to give the soldiers free booze. Your options are 1. Intimidate Lloyd with violence and force him to give the soldiers free booze so they'll fight. Option 2. Pay out of your own pocket for the booze for the soldiers so that they'll fight. Option 3. Let the men stay inside the safety of the tavern, avoiding battle. Your next choice has to do with Lloyd the bartender himself. Option 1. Lloyd can be talked into joining the battle if your persuasion skill is high enough. Option 2. Intimidate Lloyd with violence to get off his ass and fight the invading zombies too. Option 3. You can kill Lloyd yourself, right in the tavern, with an F. Option 4. Just leave Lloyd alone and let him continue to work in the bar in safety. If Lloyd survives the battle, he'll give you a ring. If Lloyd dies in the battle, Bella will take over the store and give you everything they have for free. Your next choice involves an odd elf sitting in the tavern named Berwick. Option 1. Be nice to Berwick and use persuasion skills to earn his reason for being in town. Or Option 2. Threaten Berwick with violence and intimidate Berwick into telling you what he's up to. If you succeed, you'll find out that Arl Howe has hired him to come to Redcliffe to spy on Arl Eamon. Ask for proof of this and he'll give you an official letter. This letter can be used as evidence against Arl Howe and Logain. Or choose not to press him for the letter or even interact with Berwick at all. The next major choice is about Caitlin and her brother. Caitlin is a girl you meet in the Redcliffe Chantry. She's afraid because her little brother Bevan has run off to hide, and he should be taking refuge with the rest of the people in the Chantry. Caitlin's afraid to leave the safety of the Chantry to look for him. Your options are 1. Do nothing to help find Bevan, and ignore Caitlin and don't talk to her, or at least ignore her request for help. Option 2. Look for Bevan, but you never enter the closet he's hiding in, or possibly you never enter Caitlin's home at all, so you never find Bevan. Option 3. Borrow the sword from Bevan after finding him hiding in Caitlin's home. You promise to give the sword back after the battle, and so you do bring it back to him. Option 4. Tell Bevan you'll borrow the sword, but you never actually bring it back to him, you steal it. Option 5. Find Bevan hiding in the closet at Caitlin's house, then pay Bevan money for the sword. Option 6. Find Bevan hiding and convince him to return to Caitlin in the Chantry. You tell him not to worry about the sword right now, it's not important. You don't receive the sword this way. Option 7. Intimidate Bevan once you find him, using anger and fear to scare him back to Caitlin at the Chantry. Then once you've helped the minor city of Redcliffe, it's off to the castle. They have issues too. Jowan was in prison for poisoning Arl Eamon, which he was hired to do by Logain and Arl Howe, but he was caught. How to deal with Jowan. Option 1. Imprison him and refuse to free him until Arl Eamon is cured. Then let Arl Eamon decide what to do with him. Option 2. Order his execution. Option 3. Order the execution of Jowan and request that you kill him personally. Option 4. Send Jowan to the Circle Tower and let them decide his fate. The Arl's asleep, sick with an unknown illness. There is an urn of sacred ashes which can be used to create miracles, the Chantry believes. This is akin to the belief in a chalice of Christ's blood in Christianity, the Holy Grail. Only instead of the blood of Christ, it's the ashes of Andraste, who's the wife of the Maker. It's believed that these ashes can cure Arl Eamon of his illness. So you go on a quest to gather these ashes, and you can either find them, or choose to not find them. If you do find them, you can choose to desecrate them, or choose to bring them with you. If you have Liliana with you when you desecrate the ashes, She'll try to leave your party, unimpressed with how you desecrated the ashes. Or you can decide she is your enemy and kill her. Another choice is whether you tell the world about the Urn of Sacred Ashes or keep it a secret. Brother Genetivi thinks the whole world should know about the urn, so if you want to keep it a secret, you have to murder him. If you bring the ashes back to Arl Eamon, you can cure him of his illness and he'll take power as Arl again. If you choose not to, he will die. Then we have the problem of the Arl Eamon's son, Connor, who's become possessed by a demon. You can choose to kill Connor, which kills the demon. Or you can choose to let Connor live by making a deal with the demon that it will leave him alone for now, but repossess him in a few years. Or you can let Connor live by having a mage party member go into his dreams and kill the demon. Or you yourself can go into his dreams if you're a mage. Or convince the first enchanter Irving to do it from the mage circle. Another option is to allow Connor's mother, the Arl Eamon's wife, Isolde, to kill Connor herself. And a final option is to do a blood magic ritual, which will eliminate the demon, and sacrifice Isolde in the process, which she's willing to do, to save her son. You also need the mage's help in the circle tower on Lake Calenhad, so you go there, and you get their help, and yet again, they have their own issues going on to deal with before they can help. There's a breakout of possessed mages who have gone rogue, and are fighting alongside an evil wizard because they want their freedom. You have the choice of purging the circle, meaning killing every mage in the place, as Knight Commander Gregor wants you to do, or you can choose to try to save the mages, only killing the specific ones who are infected, and eventually the evil wizard leader. Your choices will yield you either mages in the final battle, or Templars helping you in the final battle with the Darkspawn. First Enchanter Irving's fate. If you have sided with the Templars instead of the mages in the mage right of annulment possibility, then Irving will die in the battle with Uldred. But if you sided with the mages over the Templars, Irving lives through the battle with Uldred. In the Mage Circle Tower, if you side with the Templars, you have to purge the circle. You'll have to kill Wynne. If you side with the mages, you can let her live. Then you can choose to recruit Wynne into your party, or not. Inside the Mage Tower, you encounter the Sloth Demon, which puts your whole party to sleep. You then enter the Fade world because you're dreaming. In order to work your way through the Fade, you have to assume the form of a mouse, a golem, a fire wraith, and a spirit form. Then, while inside the Fade, you're able to kill a bunch of demons who control various portions of the Fade. Finally, you make your way to the Sloth Demon himself and do battle. Your party members will be stuck in dreams, and you'll have to force them to wake up. Leliana is praying with a Reverend Mother, finding peace. She won't remember the Warden. The Warden needs to only remind her of her vision, and because of the demon's response, she'll realize something isn't right. Wynne is surrounded by dead mages, apprentices that died due to her negligence. You just need to make her question the reality of it all. In Sten's dream, he knows he's dreaming, and he likes it. Sten is with the Kunari soldiers he came to Ferelden with. It seems that he misses his companions and is enjoying the break. You can remind Sten he has given his word to follow you and demand that he soldier up. In Alistair's dream, he believes he's spending time with his sister and her children. You may be able to persuade him that it's all a trick through proper dialogue options, or simply attack Alistair's sister and her children, which turn out to be demons. The dog, in his dream, is just enjoying a nap. In Shale's dream, she is frozen as a statue. In Zevron's dream, he's on a rack being trained by two Antivan crows. When you convince him he's already a crow, you'll fight the two false crows, but Zevron won't help. In Ogwyn's dream, he believes he's in a tavern being constantly mocked by other dwarves. In Morrigan's dream, she's with Flemeth. But she already knows it's not her and tells the warden to kill the spirit. She'll comment that the demon is even more annoying than her mother, and it cannot even achieve a passable impression of Flemeth. Then you wake up, and you have to fight the 5 forms of sloth, which are all different types of demons. Colin, at the Mage Circle, is trapped in a magic bubble. He's sure that this was caused by the entire circle being turned to blood magic, and he wants the circle purged. Your options are, 1. Tell Colin you'll kill all the mages just like he wants. Naturally, Wynne doesn't like this idea of you killing her friends, if she's in your party. Option 2. Tell Colin that you will save as many mages as you can, insisting that you don't have to kill them all. Option 3. Tell Colin that you'll decide whether to purge the circle later, once you see the horrors for yourself. Denerim has a few choices. Sister Justine is a curator for the Denerim Chantry. She appears to demonstrate an intense thirst for knowledge and is dedicated and proud of her job. Justine wants to recover lost relics for the Chantry, though she's cautious about fake items that have been circulated. You go to a ruined temple and you can retrieve the scrolls and bring them back to her, and she'll be happy that you found a real relic. Or you can choose not to bother. Your second choice in Denerim involves a group of mercenaries, the White Falcons, who have been causing trouble at the Pearl. Sergeant Kylon wants the warden to get the mercenaries to leave without killing them. You can choose to persuade them to leave, you can choose to intimidate them away, you can choose to fight them off until they surrender, or you can choose to fight them off until they're all killed. Your third choice is you find a Templar named Erminric in a prison in Denerim. Being a Templar, he is lyrium-addled. He asks you to bring his ring back to his sister Alfstana. You can either give her the ring or not. Your next choice involves Master Ignacio's assassination missions. You can either complete his missions, you can either don't do the missions, or you can kill Master Ignacio. Your next choice involves the quest Hearing Voices. Near the orphanage in the Denerim alienage, the warden can encounter a deranged woman who claims she hears the voices of the bad man, who want her to do violent things. She says her grandmother protected her, but she lost her grandmother's amulet. Your choices are: if the warden does not find the amulet, or chooses not to give it to the beggar, the quest won't be completed. If the warden gives the deranged beggar the amulet, she will express her thanks and leave, seeming to be more stable. Another choice in Denerim is when you meet Slim Coldry outside of Goldana's house. He wants you to do a crime wave of thieveries. If you are role-playing a good guy type character, you may choose not to steal anything. Your next choice involves Sir Landry's duel. Sir Landry wants to kill you because you were allegedly involved in the death of his friend, King Kaelin. Your options are: 1. With a high enough coercion skill, you can lie to him and claim that you aren't a Grey Warden. He apologizes and walks off. Option 2. Persuade him that he's wrong, and he'll kill an innocent person. He says that he feels you're guilty, but he has no proof. So he says he'll meet you again when he finds some proof. Then he walks off. Option 3. You can persuade him into understanding Logain's role in abandoning the Grey Wardens at Ostagar. Option 4. You can intimidate him, and if he decides you can beat him, he'll decide not to throw his life away and he'll leave you alone. Option 5. If you fail the harder persuade and intimidate checks regarding Logain's role in Ostagar because he's friends with Logain, he insists on challenging you to a duel and demands you meet him in the back alley bar behind the Nod Noble Tavern, and then he heads into the alley. Option 6. If you decline the duel, he walks away insisting, "This isn't over." Later, while traveling in Denerim, you'll have a random encounter where he and his friends ambush you, forcing you to kill him. Your next choice involves Ban Sigard and Oswin. Oswin is a Templar who's being tortured in the basement of Arl of Denerim's estate. Once you kill the torturers, you can free him. If you ask him why he's being tortured, he'll tell you his wet nurse's son was a friend of his and had been a soldier at Ostagar. When he returned, he told Oswin that the men were ordered to turn their backs on Kaelin before the Darkspawn overtook him. The friend disappeared the next day, and when Oswin went looking for him, he was captured after accepting a drink from a stranger. Your option is to either tell his father, Ban Sigard, who is the Ban of Dragon's Peak, that you've rescued his son Oswin, or you can choose to not tell him. This affects the Landsmeet at the end. If you let Ban Sigard know you rescued his son Oswin, he will support you in the court case Logain raises against you at the end of the game. The next choice involves the Crimson Oars. Go to the Nod Noble Tavern and confront the Crimson Oars leader. At this point, you can either: Option 1. Let the Crimson Oars stay. Option 2. Kill the Crimson Oars. Option 3. Persuade them to leave peacefully. Or Option 4. Intimidate them with violence that if they don't leave, you'll kill them all.
Lucky for the kingdom, it's revealed that Alistair is a bastard son of the previous king, giving him a legitimate claim to the throne. After curing Earl Aemon of Redcliffe's grave illness, Aemon intends to declare Alistair king in front of all the other nobles. Depending on how the warden plays politics at the Landsmeet, Alistair can become king solo, rule jointly with Queen Enora, or refuse the throne and remain a Grey Warden.
Another choice involves who ends up ruling Ferelden. You can choose to have Alistair rule as king. You can choose to have Alistair and Enora joint rule as king and queen. You can choose to have Enora rule by herself. If you're a human noble female, you can marry King Alistair and joint rule as queen. If you're a noble human male, you can marry Queen Enora and joint rule as king. At the end of the game, you'll have a Landsmeet, and there are a lot of choices here. You can have Logain executed by the warden, or you can choose to have Logain executed by Alistair, or you can choose to have Logain killed in a duel with Alistair, or you can choose to have Logain recruited as a Grey Warden, and then he can die killing the Archdemon. Or you can have Logain recruited as a Grey Warden and someone else kills the Archdemon, so Logain is alive and well. This decides whether you can recruit Logain into your party or not too. For your second major choice at the Landsmeet, other options are: you can have Alistair become the king, or you can have Alistair die killing the Archdemon, or you can have Alistair be executed during the Landsmeet for attacking Logain, or you can choose to have Alistair remain as a Grey Warden, or you can have Alistair fall to the pressures of life and become an alcoholic.
Logain is exposed as a traitor and can either be killed in the name of justice or made a Grey Warden, which is pretty much the same as death. Meanwhile, Morrigan proposes a dark plan. The leader of the Darkspawn, the Archdemon, must be slain by a Grey Warden. Trouble is, the Grey Warden who deals the killing blow must sacrifice their life in the process by absorbing the Archdemon's tainted essence, containing it and ending the blight. Morrigan presents a ritual devised by Flemeth that will allow Morrigan's unborn child to absorb the Archdemon's essence without the Darkspawn taint, resulting in the child being born with the soul of the old god. The Warden can impregnate Morrigan himself if the Warden is male, where Alistair and Logan are also possible choices for the father.
Concerning who kills the Archdemon, you've got some options. You can kill the Archdemon and die. You can kill the Archdemon, and thanks to Morrigan's baby, you live. You can choose to have Alistair kill the Archdemon and die. You can choose to have Alistair kill the Archdemon, and thanks to Morrigan's baby, he lives. You can choose to have Logain kill the Archdemon and die, or have Logain kill the Archdemon, and because of Morrigan's baby, he lives.
No matter what is decided upon, the chosen Grey Warden faces the Archdemon and strikes the final blow. The Warden is henceforth known as the Hero of Ferelden, and the companions go their separate ways.
In Witch Hunt, there's really only one major choice in the game. You have three options. You can either go through the Alluvion with Morrigan, you can let Morrigan escape and not follow her through the magic mirror, or you can stab Morrigan to try to prevent her from leaving.
Morrigan vanishes, possibly carrying a child containing the soul of an ancient deity. 6 months later, the Hero of Ferelden discovers that despite the Archdemon's defeat, the Darkspawn have not retreated underground, and are in fact rallying around a Darkspawn called the Architect, who is capable of speech and independent thought. Eventually, the hero tracks down the mother who has broken free of the Call of the Blight. She reveals that the Architect caused the fifth Blight by trying to make the old god Urthemiel into a follower. The Architect's mistake resulted in Urthemiel becoming the Archdemon, and it is Urthemiel's soul that now resides in Morrigan's child.
In Awakenings, there are quite a few choices. Here's a few of them. When you encounter Nathaniel, you can either choose to allow Nathaniel to live, or you can kill Nathaniel. Your second choice is, Ogren has a kid and a wife named Felsi. They aren't getting along together, Ogren and his wife. So you can choose to not get involved, or choose to help Ogren get back with his family, or choose to insist that Ogren and his family part on bad terms. Your third choice involves Amaranthine and the Keep, which are under attack. You can choose to protect the Warden Keep from destruction and let the people in the city die. Or you can choose to protect the city of Amaranthine from destruction, but at the loss of your Warden capital, the Keep. Or, there is a way to save both of them. Your next choice involves the Architect. You can choose to kill the Architect, or let the Architect live.